Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. We are from group MQC1, Afiq.
Anis.
Hajar.
Alright, today we will present infographic about 5-step framework for design thinking. My name is Muhammad Afiq Aizuddin alias my metric number is 1192735. Okay, first, we start with a general view of this infographic. For this infographic, as we can see here, the type of infographic is process infographic. Process infographic provide an overview and explanation of the step involved in a process. Most process infographic follow a pretty straightforward layout with numbers, step, and brief description of each step below and some sort of illustration to help drive the point home. So, for this infographic, we choose the chapter regarding interaction design, and this infographic is one of the process interaction design. Then, the purpose of the infographic is to present a 5-step framework for design thinking. Design thinking is a design methodology that provides a solution based on approach to solving the problem. So, there are 5 stages in the design thinking process. Firstly, is empathize. Empathize is the first step to making a design project that explain the important thing to learn about the audience to understand the value and useful content. So the designer needs to be able to empathize with the client to help define the problem. Second is define. During the define stage, the designer put together the information that has been created and gathered during the empathize stage. They must develop a project based on demographic, goals, and objective. Third is idea. During the third stage of the design thinking process, the designer are ready to start generating ideas. It is important to get as many ideas problem solution as possible at the beginning of the identification phase. Fourth is a prototype. Prototype testing is the finest prototype must be with a representation of one or more of ideas to show to others. Lastly is testing. This is the final step of the 5-step. As we can see here, this infographic is organized into number steps with brief description of each step and then use simple visual like icon to make those steps easier to understand. This shows the main point that show the readers that this step is very important in interaction design. Then, when we see this infographic, we can identify the main points to be conveyed to us. That's all from me. Next, I pass to Anis.
Thank you, Afiq, for sharing. Okay, my name is Syazwani binti Pasusai, metric number 1191699. Okay, now I will give my opinion on general view regarding the user interface design. As we know, colors play important role in designing infographics. A color scheme has the power to either bring forward or obscure information depending on how easy it is to read the text on the infographic. For example, we should not put dark text on a dark background or light text on a light background as the eyes will need to strain to read the infographic. As we can see here, the infographic background color is yellow and the text is black. And all colors that was used is not annoying and inconvenient to the reader to understand the infographic. So, we strongly agree that the infographic is easy to read because of the colors play role. After that, the use of font text for this infographic is very friendly because it's the common font that used for designer, which is sans serif. Not forget to mention that the infographics font text is clear and visually appealing to the reader. The choice of the font for an infographic is very important and we should not leave it as the last item because the source is the one that transmits the message. Choosing great fonts for infographic can be overwhelming. But for me, the size of the text for a few sentences for these infographics are quite small. So people need to zoom it to read it. But overall, it's good. Next, I think in designing, we need to consider all the bits and pieces inside an infographic, including the text, icons, illustration, data widgets, and shapes. All these elements together are colored, sized, and placed in a shared space. They need to have a visual unity with each other to achieve good visual arrangement. For this infographic, They set the icons at the same size, apply the same point size to each of the headers, and use the same line spacing for the text block. Then we can see the infographic is very aware of the colors. As we can see, the numbers icon has the same color or apply a flowing gradient from one icon to the next. Also, use similar transparencies and intensities for shapes and backgrounds. Lastly, from me, layout is the one of the most important things to be concerned because it's a process of arranging visual and textual elements on screen to grab a reader's attention and communicate information in a visual appealing way. Okay, and then the layout that was used here is a group of classification and the layout that used very suitable and organized. Okay, next I will pass to Hajar.
Alright, thank you Anis, our representative that focusing on the general view about the user interface, design or short being called as UID. My name is Hajar binti Hasanuddin. My metric number is 1191627. Alright, next I will explain generally about the content of this infographic. As we can see here, the content of infographic are focusing more on the step or flow of the topic, where the keyword there is highlighted clearly in bold color design toolkit. So it does not depend on any statistics, but focusing more on the flow of the step. For the reference, as we can see at the bottom of the infographic, it is provided the link for more details regarding the topic. Alright, is it easy to read? Absolutely yes, because they use the general font, which called sans serif. It is the most likable font to read, and the space between the layout also pleasing our eyes to take all the information. As for remembering, in this infographic, it highlighted the keyword in bold, where it is easy for the reader to take the keyword or remembering the keyword. Also, the pictures along the explanations make us an imaginative memory strongly and remember the message of the infographic wisely. As for the error of this infographic, I would say it does not display too many errors or any mistakes. Just a little bit about the shadow at the background, where I think it is not so useful for the infographic. And last but not least, overall we can give the infographic rate about 4 per 5. That's all for me. Going back to our representative.
Alright, thank you Hajar for the detailed explanation. Okay, lastly, for comments and suggestion for the improvement. We have some comment and suggestion for the improvement of this infographic. First, if we see this infographic, the empty spacing at the top is not same on the bottom. So we suggest keeping margins around the edge of an infographic to ensure a clean image. The empty spacing on the right should be same the empty spacing on the left. Same with the spacing at the top and on the bottom. This will show the balance between content and empty spacing to make sure it is organized. Second is the size font of the content is so small, which makes it difficult for the readers to read the writing content in the infographic. So we suggest increasing the font size for description to make sure it is easier to read. But if we look at this whole infographic, there is not much suggestion because the infographic design is very perfect and the content is so arranged. Therefore, we discuss giving a high rating to this infographic because this infographic can attract readers to read and is easy to understand. By choosing the right color scheme, this infographic can make sure attractive color to look a viewer in and also keep in mind that color has psychological effect on viewers. Bright colors can elicit happiness. So think ahead, be proactive, and don't choose any more than 3 colors. I think that's all of us representing this infographic. Thank you. Bye.